All right. Hello, guys. This is a vocal freedom update, use cases. Not tired of making these videos yet. So we're going to be talking about how to, this is a vocal journeyman episode. We're going to be talking about how to develop perhaps a practice regimen to incorporate the vocal freedom plugin. So we got a couple use cases here that I'll walk you guys through that I think are very interesting. And this sort of hints at features that I'm going to try to build into the plugin as we go forward too. So case one, we're going to need to measure differences and do some filtering. Okay, so let's go ahead and head over here. Again, I think this is fair use. Got this down from the internet. This is educational purposes. This is growth. I'm not trying to rob anybody here. And the plugin is free. So we're going to go ahead and pull up the Vocal Freedom plugin. If you look at the last video, it'll show you how to get this all set up. So we're going to bring this in and we're going to get it set to receive. Okay. Now I got my sample track coming in.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love.
Okay.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice.
Now that's maybe not the peak of him. Love, love. Okay. Now in order for me to capture me, I got to go over here and adjust my microphone down. There's this whole overarching web of sound. It's this dynamic web of sound out here. Okay. So I'm going to pull this down. Love. This is really important. I don't have a dynamic way of doing this. Love. Love, 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 love. And I don't have dynamic control, do I? Love. I got some dynamic range here on the board. Love, 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 love. Love, love. I'll just get as close as I can. Love. Okay. Our love, our love, love, our love. I'm going to go in German on you there. Okay. Now, things that I want to do here. I don't like that. I don't like that vowel shaping, so I'm going to go and try and capture a better one.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love.
Okay.
You're as cold as ice.
That one might be a little better. Love. 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 Let's get one more. I can get better than that. Love. Okay. Love. It's a weird vowel there. It's an It's not an It's an It's like halfway in between vowels. But what I want to do here now, let me go over and get my levels jacked back up here. What I want to do here now, there we go. That's better. All right. So what I want to do here is I want to look at areas where I'm really not meeting him. I got the basic shaping of what he's doing, but I'm not meeting him in these other areas. Now, I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over to this one where I have the track in. I'm going to apply a filter. This is reefer filter. I'm going to apply that to cut out in the band where I'm lower than him, which is about 2 to 3K, a little more than that. Okay. That's the singer's formant right there. Now watch what happens when I do this. So I apply that filter to him. See that? So I'm going to try and get the same thing. All right. Love. 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 Okay. Love. 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 Okay. Now I know this seems a little ridiculous, but the point here, and if you do this more than once, you'll find that this is quite useful. I had to change my shaping and stuff quite a bit and put a lot more ping to even begin to approximate this. And if you go back and record yourself trying to make up the differences in these areas where you dramatically different after you've shaped the first 3, maybe 4 harmonics, that's going to give you a benchmark, okay, to understand whether this might be realistic or not. Now, these are not raw vocals. So because they're not raw vocals, okay, I put that subtractive filter, okay, and I'm observing it, okay. If it's too much of a stretch, if when I try to shape that to fill in that gap, and then I just sing the vowel that way, it's way off on the lower, right? It just doesn't sound right. I'm going to assume that that's EQing. I'm going to assume that they EQ'd those areas. Now, that 2 to 3K range, it might not be the case because the singer's formant sits right in that area, okay? So there's things about singing that we should know before we assume this. But for the moment, I'm actually going to go then, return to this, and I'm going to go over to me. I'm going to turn on an EQ. And I'm going to put that EQ so that it fits to make up the differences that were in my full spectrum. Now, you don't necessarily have to sample it that way, right? And the thing is so I've got this now. So I put the reefer on the 2 to 3K right here. You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love. Okay, so when we're making that comparison, I can have reefer on both of those lines. Sacrifice our love. Okay. So I got that lined up now, right? I've made up for those little differences. Now, make no mistake. The shaping to sing it the way Lou is singing is already teaching me something about my own voice. Trying to mimic him and using these tools to give me insight into how to do that. It's not to become Lou Gramm. It's not, because that's impossible. It's to find that little nugget of advice that I can get from how he sings. And I'm finding it. There's an openness and a shaping that's more back. Even though there are times when he's clearly belting and it's forward, a lot of what he's saying and a lot of the richness of his voice, at least how I need to attempt to mimic it, is more of a wideness in the back. It's You never take advice. Okay. All right. So I've got that set up now, don't I? Right? I went and I set that up to reasonably, because why do I want to do this? Okay. We EQ'd to make up differences above 2K. So if there's chunks above 2K where there's these bands that you're not hitting it, do what you saw me do. Reasonably and safely try to sing the vowel, band pass it if you need to. What do I have to do to get that level of ping? Okay. Is that more musculature? Is that down the road development? Or is that EQ? So in the moment, you can't get there. You're going to break yourself getting there. EQ above 2K to balance that. Okay. All right. Next step, setting up for this use case. Add compression, delay, and reverb, maybe a doubler. Try to match the ambience of the track. Okay. If you can. So I did a little bit of that. I've got delay set up, little reverb. Okay. The compressor. I don't want to over squash on the compressor. But the compressor is interesting because the compressor might catch the third harmonic. It also might be able, without clipping, to pull down an overly belted sound and make it seem more tongue retracted mix, maybe, right? All right. Now we're set up, okay? And I'm ready to just try and sing with this a little bit and see how it goes. All right? So let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so I'm going to get both of these to live. I'm going to go back over to the track here and turn off the FFT. So we're now going to get the full thing coming through. I've sort of done it's like a crude emulation of it. Okay? Let's see what we come up with here. And you can record yourself doing this if you want to as well. Try and get my levels to match.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love.
Now I'm trying to pay attention to that shaping.
You never take advice. Someday you'll pay the price, I know. I've seen it before, it happens all the time. You're closing the door, you leave the world behind. You're digging for gold, you're throwing away a fortune and feelings, but someday you'll pay.
Okay. Now he's got that. His A's are different than mine, and I'm catching on to that as I do this, and it's not a pedantic exercise. Because when I did that, someday you pay. It's a different A than the way pay that goes out front like that. It's a different A. So, I mean, I'm geeked about this. I'm a geek anyways when it comes to technical things. I'm really geeked about the possibility here because mimicry, we know that mimicry is useful in singing, and we know that a lot of the greatest natural singers are great mimics. So if we can use these tools as they exist right now, we can use these to begin to do this. What I'm talking about going forward is I'm going to bring that subtractive filter into this plugin. I'm going to bring the EQ into this plugin, okay? Because I think if we have those two at a minimum, you can basically set yourself up to some really exciting practice. And correct me if I'm wrong. It's exciting when you sit down and you can start to sing the material by your favorite artist. It's really exciting and it's very encouraging. So, all right, guys, there's another use case of how to set yourself up to do what I think is a reasonable practice. And I got this set up now. I can run this as many times as I want and just watch, right? I can see where my shaping is. When my shaping goes off, I'm not only hearing it, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing where. If I understand the basic mechanisms of what belt timbre looks like, what mix looks like, how those things shape, I'm gaining a lot of information, and hopefully this almost starts to fast track the learning, right? Because the more information you can give yourself, that becomes force of habit, okay? All right. Now, yeah, there's a potential that one could start to rely upon this as a visual thing. I think that as long as you keep it in your mind, that what you're really trying to do is to learn how to get the best shaping and the best resonance, and to learn about your own voice. I think it's all win-win on this. So, all right, so there you go. There's another use case for you. Hope that one's a blessing to you. Until next time, yeah, God bless. Have some great time singing.